All right, here's a quick overview of the Polaris Sportsman 570 ride command and what makes it special over a normal trail. Is really, this is just a trail. Same double A-arm suspension underneath, same wheels, same tires, Duro power grips, which are a phenomenal tire. Talk about those in a minute here. So yeah, what makes this different? I know for a fact what makes the ride command different, other than the ride command, is the winch. So your standard trail comes with a 2,500 pound winch. The ride commands come with a 3,500 pound that has the auto stop on it, so you don't suck your hook into your fair lead. My only complaint about that is it leaves it hang down a little more than I'd like. Yeah, so on to what makes this thing special. Well, this is a 2023. So it has a 1-year color. This was for the introduction of the ride command. I think Polaris has used it on some other models as well. Silver quartz metallic. And initially, when I saw this machine for sale, I didn't particularly care for it. Turns out the dealer that had it was just really bad at taking pictures. Now that I've had this color, I'm falling in love with it. Has a ton of metallic in it. I just cleaned it, got a little bit of spray wax on it, and it is looking sharp, especially the different angles, how it flips from gray to more of a tan metallic. Really love that. Again, this was a 2023 model only. I don't remember what the ride commands had after that, but I do know that this was a 1 model year for the introduction of the ride command. Okay, so it's got a better winch, and I think maybe the rear rack extender. That's what the other options you get above a standard ride command, or not a ride command, a standard trail. Okay, so trail things that are really nice: double A-arm suspension up front, high clearance arms, these Duro power grips. Best freaking tire I've ever had in an ATV. Right now, somebody asked me the other day, how many ATVs do you have? I think 6 running and 4 that aren't. So yeah, I've had all sorts of tires over the years, between projects and newer machines that I've owned. So we've got the old kind of collector unit here. Tons of tires in this style. The old Chevron style. These are Goodyear trackers. They're really similar to the old 489s. We got some Goodyear mud runners up front on this machine, because those actually came off a different one. I've had Moose splitters, which are a really mild tire. They're really mild looking. They actually do very well. Bear Claws, I've ridden a machine that has those. I've had some Bear Claw HTRs. I've ridden machines with knockoff bighorns, like the Sun Fs. I've ridden machines with the bighorns. I had some Moto MTCs on my old 850. And those were very aggressive compared to these. They're also more for a side-by-side. One complaint I've usually had about these tires is they don't clean very well. They're pretty much only good for loose surfaces, like gravel, rocky terrain. That's where they typically excel. These ones are actually okay in mud. I'd put them about on par with the Chevron style ones. Now, they don't self-clean quite as good, but they definitely clean a lot better than some of the other bighorn style tread tires like these Duros. Yeah, the one area where I've found them to be phenomenal is actually ice and snow. You can't really see it from here. There's a really steep ditch up there, and I could put this thing in 2-wheel drive at the bottom and just gently climb up it. You put it in 4-wheel drive with the descent control. We'll go over how to run that in a second. And it doesn't care. Icy, snowy, whatever. Gravelly conditions, walks right up it. Rocky stuff, loves it. Does okay in the mud, does really good in the sand. By far the best tires I've ever ridden. So that was a pleasant surprise for me. I thought I was going to end up having to put better tires on this machine, but hey, I think I'll just rock these. Okay, now being a trail, there's not a ton of aftermarket suspension stuff that I know of. Like if you want to do a lift or rear raked arms, I don't know if anybody makes those for these. I'm not really interested in looking at the moment, I guess, because I've been so happy with these tires. Okay, so let's talk about ride command. So I will give the disclaimer, this machine does have some options. The mirrors I put on, it's got some hand warmers, and then these studs here are for a lock and ride windshield. Those did not come with this machine. All right, so you've got your data port here, USB, so you can upload the map and stuff, or update your maps, update your machine if you want to. We've got where the battery tender can plug in. If you have one of those, it's just a standard plug-in. Most trickle chargers have that style end on them. And then we've got your standard 12 volt plug here. All right, so flip this key on. Hope my dog doesn't blow her ears out, because she loves to bark at these and chase them, because she acts like they're cattle, and she's a cattle dog. Okay, right, Hazel? Okay, so we've got standard warning. I promise it does not flash like this in person. It's just the way it's recording, the rate versus the rate of the display. So you've got your time, your fuel, all that kind of stuff. You can customize these. There's a couple different pages you can set up however you want. Scroll back and forth between the two. Got a trip meter. It's I got about 90 miles on this machine right now in 12.2 hours, so I still got a little ways to go to hit the 25-hour break-in. Okay, now you can. Yeah, I was watching a video on SnowRunner on my phone. That's connected. You can connect your phone for music. It'll show your text messages, your incoming calls, all that kind of stuff. There's no speaker. There is an accessory rear storage box with speakers you can hook up to it, but as it sits off the showroom floor, I don't know why they have this in there. I think that'd activate with the speaker. Okay, so here we go. Everybody's favorite system. At least I really enjoy it. Ride command. It'll take a second to load up here, but yeah, give you your speed. You can choose what you want down here in the corner. So like I like my coolant temp, my voltage up, my speed. I don't care about RPM so much, but those are the essentials. It's nice to have them up on the screen. Okay, from your drop down menu, immediately we can change our display brightness. I have it on auto day night right now, so when it gets dark outside, it flips to dark mode, where it's actually the black background instead of white. Okay, and it does time out after a while, so when you're riding, throttle must be at idle to change. I do like work mode. It's really good for crawling. Standard for just normal riding around, and sand. That does really well in hills and sand. It keeps you more where the peak torque is. This is where if you want the really high RPMs, peak horsepower, but being a single cylinder, standard mode is more than enough for most situations. All right, so there used to be, when I first got this machine, it was displayed right here. You could change your power steering modes, as this has variable power steering on it. Now, I went to the dealer, they updated it. There's an ambient air temperature setting you can choose to set up on your display back here. You can set up ambient air temperature. Problem is, it doesn't have a sensor on the machine. Why this display must be used on something else that it is. The dealer even got a hold of the Polaris engineering line, oh yeah, no, that's not an option on that machine. And nor is there a kit, because apparently some machines had that, but you had to have a kit. There's no kit, so if you choose the ambient air temp setting, you're not going to get any numbers. It'll just be bars. All right, so side tangent on that over. Yeah, you can change all your stuff from there. We're going to go back to this menu. So now, in order to change power steering, you got to go to where it says all settings, vehicle, electronic power steering, low, medium, high. I typically just run on high and work mode because I'm just driving slow around the place here. Engine oil life, good. You got diagnostics, engine start lockout. I've never actually taken a look at that. Oh, you can create a new passcode. Oh, so I guess you can set this so that only you can run it. You got the key in, you have to put in a passcode. We've got plow control. So if we have a plow on it, yeah. When you go from reverse to drive, it'll auto lower and auto raise. You see that on the Rangers and stuff too. So that's one thing that the Ride Command got, which is good because these Duro power grips are fantastic for it. Handlebar shortcut button. Oh, I didn't even see this before. Oh, that's cool. That explains why that's different. Okay, so we're learning some stuff together. You can set this up. Over here. Oh, that's not okay. So this is the 4-wheel drive switch. This is a rocker switch. We'll talk about that in a minute. For the Speedo reverse override. That's freaking cool. Okay, so let's see how this works. Oh, you can cycle through the screens just by hitting the override button. Well, that's awesome. Okay, so if we hold it down, brings it to the map, or we can just cycle through till we get to it. That is awesome. Okay. So we got some cool features there. We'll go back to all settings here again. You can set your phone up and stuff. I have mine set up as I think I just explained a little bit ago. You can drop a waypoint, media seek skip. So if you do have the speaker, you can. That's awesome. So you could drop a waypoint. Oh, you can only choose 2 at a time. That makes sense because we have long press and short press. Okay, so I'd probably do this. Okay, so we're going to try this again. So we're going to short press. We're going to get back to the, okay, and so now you're going to zoom in, and I'm going to hold it, and we dropped a waypoint. That's freaking cool. Okay, we're going to edit this. And we're going to delete it. Waypoint 2. Edit. Delete. Delete waypoint. Yes. Okay. Wow, that's... Delete. Yep. Delete waypoint. We're going to delete this one too. Okay. It's freaking sweet. I did not realize we had a shortcut on there. Okay. Looks like I'm getting a warning message for something up there. What, I'm not exactly sure, but probably because I've been sitting here with the key on. Okay, so it's in gear. Talk about this 4-wheel drive switch and descent control here. So, clicking to the left deactivates things. Clicking to the right activates them. Okay, so you have to have it in gear. So, we're going to click to the right once, and we should see these front wheels. Yep, turn orange. Okay. Click it again. Now we have our descent control up there. And our front wheels went off. If you give it a little bit of throttle and start rolling, the front wheels will kick on. And if you're not under power and you start to coast and slow down, the front wheels will show engaged again. And the descent control, when the descent control up there is lit up. And so it'll help you with your engine braking. If we go click over once, okay, our descent control went away. And now we're back to normal 4-wheel drive. So when you're with Polarises, with the way they have, with the way the 4-wheel drive is set up, traditionally you could only have 4-wheel drive under power. The rear tires have to be actively trying to go and pass the front tires in terms of speed, and that engages a clutch, and then you have true 4-wheel drive at that point. It's nice because when you're trail riding, you can just kind of leave it on, especially if you're coming in and out of crappy conditions. With this, when you turn the descent control on, it'll lock the front engaged so that you have your front tires assisting with the engine braking for going downhill and for coasting. So that's the big advantage of that. Polaris does not have locking differentials because they are not open to begin with, which is one of the reasons why I love Polarises over many other brands. Even that machine there, you hit the 4-wheel drive, it is true 4-wheel drive. You're not having to worry about messing with, oh, I got to get my diffs locked, or I can't run at a certain speed with my diffing lock engaged, blah, blah, blah. You hit the button, and you just have all 4 tires going. It's fantastic. You don't want to hit the button if your rear tires are spinning a lot. The front will kind of slam in, then you can break some stuff. But anyways, yeah. So we're going to go back to the settings here. We're going to explore these together, as I am just now discovering some things. Okay, so we've got the vehicle here. We've got handlebar shortcut. GPS status. Yep, showing us that we're connected to quite a few different satellites here. V2V group ride. Show pop-ups for new messages. Okay, and we have quick replies. So other people, the ride command. You can set up group rides, and then you can see where the other machines are at or where the other people are at. You can download the ride command app for free on your phone or tablet or whatever. You don't have to have the really expensive ride command option on your machine. You can get it for free. So if you and your buddies are out riding, especially if you're in an unfamiliar area, definitely recommend it. I live up in North Dakota, but I've been down in the Black Hills a few times, and we've used it down there. Which was handy because somebody did get separated from us. We turned around, ended up coming back, finding them. They had to pull over because somebody had motion sickness. But we were quite a ways away from them, and we noticed that they had quit moving. So you can always use that as a safety tool. Okay, yeah, diagnostics. We'll go there. Electronic power steering, entering power save mode. Okay, just because I've been sitting here at the key on. That's what our code is. That's what our warning message up there is. Oil life, miles remaining, engine hours remaining. So yeah, got about 12 hours left on the break-in here. Okay, so this is normal stuff. Our general settings again. This is where you come in to update your trails and maps, and you can there's various levels of update you can do. You need a really big USB drive if you want to update the whole thing, and you're gonna need a battery charger so that you can properly get everything downloaded without worrying about this thing dying on you, because it will take hours with the full map like re-upload, because it is several gigabytes. They do have some generic trail updates. You got megabyte size stuff that doesn't take very long. But anyways, yeah, change language, whatever you want. Okay, and then you can see the info on it, engine hours, miles, all that kind of fun stuff. Okay, so plow mode, special to these. This rocker switch setup is special to them. I don't particularly care for it. I do like having this machine over here. I'll come show you. Has a switch. So if you're in the deep stuff, you could just reach up from the throttle and flip the switch over, and it was engaged. You didn't have to be looking at a screen or anything like that. You could just feel it hit the D10. We've got a storage bag under here. It is somewhat weatherproof. You can see fairly deep. Either 24 or 25, the trail's got a big storage compartment you could access through the rack instead of the bag. I kind of would like to. You can buy the rack and the everything from Polaris. That's actually why this is bumped out like this, is because the way that rack opens up would clip this. So it's like they were thinking ahead almost. It's like $750 to buy the rack with the compartment in it though. Up front here, I just plan on making a pack out mount back here that also has some Rotopax cans on it for long rides. Up here we have the typical Polaris storage compartment. People complain they took away storage by putting the battery up here. Believe me, this is a lot more convenient, especially when I was hooking up accessories. When this Biostyle came out, everybody complained about the hinge. This hinge is substantially better now, so don't let that deter you. This is watertight. I pressure washed this earlier. It's totally dry in there, so that's nothing to worry about. So yeah, I guess that's the overview and some of the cool key features on the Polaris Trail with Ride Command. Hopefully this is a little bit more in depth. When I was initially looking at this machine, nobody went through any of that cool stuff in the menus, like the shortcut on the handlebar, anything like that. So yeah, you can just double tap that, drop waypoints, pull up your map, whatever. That's pretty cool. So to close this out, I've had this machine now since December. It's July, so about almost 9 months, 8 months. And is it worth the MSRP? That's a good question. So it is just a 570, right? And I say that jokingly, just a 570. It'll still keep up with all the big Japanese single cylinders out there. It's pretty fuel efficient. For 570, it has plenty of torque in it. The top end, I'd like there to be a little bit more. I came from an 850, so I got really used to being able to just cruise at 55 miles an hour. You could just roll into it. Did mid 70s pretty easily. This machine, however, 52-ish seems to be about the top on it. It is still getting broke in, so I haven't been too aggressive on it, where I've like just pinned it for 1.5 miles to see what it would do. But it can get to 50 pretty easily, we'll put it that way. Once you get to 50, it's a slow climb from there. Riding position, I do like the riding position on the 850s better. The motor is oriented traditionally, so we've got our clutches off to the side here. Makes it a little bit wider. Yeah, you can see the clutch cover there. For seated riding, it's just fine. For standing up, it's a little obnoxious. I do kind of like to stand when I ride sometimes, especially if I'm going over sand whoops or something at a slow speed. So we have a riding area that's got some that has a lot of whoops in it, and then you're standing, so you're not beating your back up so much. You can just kind of flex your knees and go over them. So that's something I don't particularly care for. The ride quality itself is pretty good. It's firm, but yet if you hit something a little hard, it absorbs it. I do everything set on max soft right now. I have a friend who's got a 21 trail and it rides even softer. I guess the suspension needs to break in a little or something. Got a plane visiting us today, I guess. Gonna make an appearance. It rides really similarly from the seated position like these Gen 4s do. And you can actually see the seats are pretty similarly shaped. Both of them have plenty of padding. You can spend hours on this and you're not gonna really care. Is it gonna be as comfortable as some of the side-by-sides out there? No. That could just also be due to wind, creature comforts, that kind of stuff. But for an ATV, it does really well. So MSRP on this machine when I bought it was $12,400. The dealership that I bought it from, bless their heart, I'm not gonna go into detail there. That was not very impressed, we'll put it that way. But at least they were nice. Still wasn't very impressed, but they were nice. I can see why they didn't move a lot of inventory. Not exactly the most professional or well-educated salespeople out there. I ended up picking this machine up. Purchase price on it, without tax or title, was $9,000. So, is this a $9,000 machine? More than definitely. Yeah. If you hop in the comments and say, oh, I'd rather buy a Honda or Yamaha or whatever, good for you. They don't ride this nice. They don't have this much storage. The racks aren't as useful as these are. I don't want to hear about your metal racks, okay? Metal racks to me are useless. They get kind of rusty. They've got giant holes in them. This was peak rack technology to me, though, these Gen 4 Polarises. I do have a storage box on here off of a Polaris ATP. Otherwise, I'd have this style rack on the front as well. Nice rectangular square shapes to it. Simple rack extender, flat surface. These bucket detents to me are a little bit of a joke. You can put the buckets in there and it'll hold them. You can't go very fast. You got to strap them down. Don't put any liquids in there without a lid. That's all I'm going to say. Let's take a ride out back here. I'll show you the kind of rack that I really don't care for. Got the 17,000 mile machine there, still putting in work. Another reason why I'm not a big believer in all the Honda hype. Gotten a lot of miles out of these Polarises over the years. All right. See a lot of manufacturers still use metal racks that have giant holes like that. What good is that? You have to have something so big on there, and then you got to strap it down. Whereas you put some rack extenders on these plastic racks, it might slide around a little bit, but at least doesn't fall off your freaking machine. I just got a dump box on it because it's 6x6. I was out here cleaning these machines today. That's why it's sitting out here. But yeah, this style rack, and then this style rack right here. That's peak. I do have that accessory basket on there. That is a Polaris accessory I found in the old stock on eBay. But yeah, the front rack extender, you got the rear basket, or if you have an extender, that is peak ATV rack technology right there. That's the most useful utilitarian style out. So I guess my conclusion here is ride what you want. This Ride Command machine is a fine machine if you're in the market for something cool. It's got a lot of special features to it. I do realize the price of these machines is getting out of hand and ridiculous. If you're just getting into it, get yourself a good basic machine or find yourself something used. The most fun I've ever had on a machine ever was a modded 2-stroke Explorer. It was this Gen 4 body style. Second most fun I've ever had on a machine was that blue Sportsman that has 17,000 miles on it we just drove by. That thing has just been like the spare machine. There's multiple people have ridden it. Take it with when somebody wants to come out that doesn't have a machine. I've also taken that through swamps and stuff. They're just great machines. So the new stuff, it's going to ride better, probably less fatigue at the end of the day. I never thought I'd be so bougie that I'd like power steering, but honestly, for just driving it around the yard, power steering on high end work mode, so you got that dull throttle. That dull throttle actually, work mode with high power steering, mint for crawling hills. So if you're doing technical crawling, work mode with high power steering assist, oh, fantastic. So, do you need it? No, but it is really nice. So that's where I'm going to conclude this video. 570 Ride Command, fun machine. If you really want power, get the Ride Command 1000. But if you're just doing basic trails, you're not real concerned about having 90 horsepower, doing 80 miles an hour. 50 miles an hour is fast enough for you. Good fuel economy. Thing looks really good as well. A lot of great standard features on it. One thing I should mention as a caveat, I did add the 2-inch receiver on it. Underneath of it is the factory 1-inch receiver. So yeah, if you need, so I run 2-inch receivers on everything. That's why I put that one on there. But otherwise, this thing's pretty much stock. It's been a fantastic machine up to this point. Of course, only got 90 miles on it, but it got broke most of the break-in during the winter. So yeah, anyways, hope you enjoyed, and hopefully this answers some questions that I couldn't find when I was trying to research the 570, but specifically the Ride Command Sportsmans in general.